I've been having a slump recently, and as an expert in slumps, I find getting out of my slumps takes a lot of efforts. Like, taking on a writing block is hard work, and it's not just because finding the motivation to write is hard. It's finding the right topic is hard, and ever since my iPad died, taking years of bookmarks with it, the process of finding good manga has gone harder. So, instead of doing what I normally do, of focusing on one single manga, I got a bunch of terrible, uninspired pieces of shit that calls themselves manga and shoving them into a single video. That's right, it's time for the Undiscussibles, baby. For those who don't follow me when I was working on my review blog, and I don't blame you for not following that, because it's garbage, although I wouldn't say there's much improvement, I had the occasional segment where I did a batch of one paragraph reviews of manga that weren't worth the effort of dedicating an entire portion of my time to. There's usually no theme, but I do have a theme for this one. It's called checking what manga is trending on one of the manga websites I used and trying to understand why it's popping off. No, it's not a real theme, but I wasn't mentally ready to do another isekai roundup, so suck it up. So our first manga is what I like to call a social manga known as Mayora no Nai Ononoko. I'm so terrible at Japanese. If you aren't familiar with what a social manga is, it's pretty much a manga that's just published to an artist's social media platforms for consumption of their followers. They often publish somewhat daily with 1 or 2 panels per post as they tell an overarching story. These are the sort of things you'll probably see trending on r/manga a lot because, as people scroll through Reddit all the time, it's like, ooh, new translate thing of this thing. It's pretty much free karma. Yeah. It's the incentive is just keep checking on the artist's account for daily updates, so it's a good way for an artist to develop and maintain a reader base while they, I don't know, work on a bigger project, maybe. And I personally hate these sort of mangas. Not to shit on the work that goes into them, drawing a page a is a lot of effort, and I understand why they would feel the need to make the manga like this. But to me, it's kind of effortless in a way when it comes to the story. Mayori being a good example of this. Most of the social manga I often find trending on websites like Reddit and Twitter is usually the quite fluffy and somewhat boring romance manga types. There's no real story characters, it's just let's watch a girl be cute and adorable while the guy swoons for a whole run. It's less about getting the audience invested in actually interesting storytelling characters, but rather injecting you your daily dose of wholesome with a good side of horny. Mayori is blatantly what I just talked about at full force. It starts with chapter 1 that seems like it wants to set up something a little darker, and then immediately the speed lines into generic wholesome feels by chapter 2 before quickly time skipping to horny posting. They start the fact that the main waifu is being mistreated by the dad. And chapter 2 just starts with the fact they adopted her, I guess. It's never explained. I think what makes it worse is that by chapter 7, there's a time skip of several months, and she's a fully developed adult, where chapter 1 and 6 shows her to be at least 14 to 15 to my estimates. At this point, I knew I wasn't going to like this manga, but I pressed on anyway because what kind of reviewer does a half-hour's job of reviewing? And then I got to chapter 19, and I realized the facade. Chapter 19 ends with a poll asking the readers what they want, and I knew from that this wasn't made for a place of passion, it's just for traction. Starting on there, polls are somewhat frequent, and are often asking what readers want from the story, and that to me just seems like the artist didn't care about telling the story. It's very obviously trying to build an audience, or to be a little harsher, feel the artist's need for validation. Of course, you could just say they're indecisive, but I'm a cynical person, and I just see this as someone doing it for numbers. I actually went and tracked down their other socials like Fanbox, and yep, they're hentai artists. That explains a lot, frankly. Just like the porn they create, Mayora no Ana Onotoko, I still butchered it, is shallow, with the only passion behind it going into the appeal of the main character. I'm just gonna move on. I may have said I couldn't muster enough mental energy to read a bunch of isekais, but that doesn't mean I didn't give enough fucks for a single isekai manga. People made fun of me for... okay, maybe I don't give enough fucks to read its full title. Let's call it garbage. Garbage is a very bland, by-the-nose isekai, and I'm only talking about it so I can start the trend of putting shit isekais on blast as part of this series. If they're going to be blatant with their boring flavor of the week isekais, I'm going to follow their lead by not even trying to hide my disgust in these titles designed to print money with no effort behind it. Yes, this is my jealousy speaking, because I, the person who has no confidence in their own writing, constantly read shit like this, because it feels good knowing if rubbish like this can be printed and sold, surely there's a market for my dumb ideas as well. Anyway, enough of my ranting. Here's your quick rundown so we can end this segment. Let's see. Our protagonist is a generic 15-year-old boy. He gets isekai'd by isekai plot device number 12, a horror reality. Gets reborn as a noble that gets him outcast. He has a cute angel overseer. His mum is a MILF who barely shows up. He has a cute elf maid who stops appearing later on. He gets a cute wolf pet later on. And it just hits all the same plot beats. Like, here's the scene where a friend he made dies, and he gets angsty about it. Here's the scene where he gets betrayed by someone he trusted. Here's like several introductions of waifu characters he can get hard at. It's just so uninspired. I'm surprised it's still going, because it has nothing going for it. It's not a power fantasy. It doesn't have anything unique about it, and it's just full of cliches and tropes with no attempt to even disguise that fact. It's just bland, and I can't believe I wasted a paragraph on this. I refuse to waste more words on this. Well, I didn't want this video to just be me beating up mangakas for making completely uninspired work. So here's something I kinda enjoy, I think. It's a weird premise about a woman being sacrificed to a giant snake who makes her his wife and they live together. It definitely feels more adulterous because of the explicit hot snake sex. And the snake does not change form. He literally is just a giant snake, and our main character does have sex with him despite that. It feels oddly charming in a way, and it's hard to put my finger on why is that the case for me. It might be because the world it places itself is interesting to me. This is like rural feudal Japan, where everyone's worshipping these yokais as gods and live very simple lives. It's a very unusual setting that you don't often see in manga outside of the historical genre. And let's be honest, you don't really see supernatural history manga these days. I think the art style helps too. It kind of reminds me of older titles, like something like from the 80s. Maybe, well, I was about to say Vagabond. This is nothing like Vagabond. It's awfully short by now, so there isn't much else to say. It's just very charming, and that's all I want to say about it. If you're gonna go read something I talked about today, make it this title. It's just really interesting in its own way, although it's a bit adulterous, so I don't know, maybe wait until you're like 16 or my age to enjoy it. Anyway, that's my short bunch of quick reviews I got ready for you. I probably won't do this format that frequently, because when I talk about something, I like it to be meaningful, or I feel like I'm wasting your time, and trying to be meaningful in this sort of format is hard. Anyway, when I see you again for one of these reviews, it will probably be another short one with a look into a spin-off of a popular visual novel series. If you follow my Steam profile, you will probably know which one I'm talking about.